I'm not really sure how to tell you this story without sounding like I need to be on medication or something, but I can't logically explain what I saw that day. I can only hope that those of you who are reading this will give me the benefit of the doubt and not dismiss me for sharing this with you. Thanks in advance for reading this. This happened around the end of November of last year, while I was at a late night party at a mutual friend's house. The night started off fine with us having a few drinks and talking about the classes we'll be having next semester. This pretty much went on till around 2 a.m. and by this time I wanted to go home since the party was already dying down and most of my friends had already left and I was just there practically alone. Instead of wasting my money on an Uber, I decided to walk home since my neighborhood was a few blocks away, but it was still a decent walk. However, there was a shortcut. There was a secluded dirt road in the neighborhood which led to a stretch of walkway with an irrigation canal for crops, and it happened to lead straight to the backyard of my house. I began making my way to the dirt road and I started to second guess my decision, since that stretch of walkway can be pretty shady, especially at night because a few drug dealers and junkies like to hang out there. I mustered up the little courage I had, feeling confident I'd be able to handle myself if shit ever hit the fan. So I proceeded to walk on the desolate road. The night sky was well lit. The moon illuminated my surroundings enough for me to see the environment pretty clearly. The walk was actually pleasant. The only thing that made it tough to navigate was the overgrown thorny weeds and the mesquite branches that kept scraping against the exposed parts of my skin. As I continued to walk through the brush, I finally got into the clearing that led to the bridge, and to my relief, there didn't seem to be anyone in sight. As I began to cross the bridge, I then picked up a faint scent of lavender mixed with something rancid, like the smell of good cheese or days-old roadkill. I couldn't tell where the smell was coming from, but as soon as I made it to the other side of the bridge, the environment seemed to shift. It's hard to describe, but I felt this uneasy pressure wash over me coupled with this gut feeling telling me something about the environment was just not right. I pushed this feeling off as a random anxiety attack since I do get them sometimes, but deep down I knew this was different. To calm my nerves, I stopped walking and slowed my breathing and began to count to 10 while clenching and releasing my fists to try and shake off this bad vibe or whatever it was off of me. When I finished this little ritual of mine, I felt slightly better and more at ease. I started to walk in the direction of my house until I heard this odd grunting noise coming from behind me. I turned around and I saw this woman with short black hair and a silky white gown crouched down with her back turned towards me. At this point, the faint smell from earlier was just so overbearing, so much so it started to seep into my sense of taste. I covered my mouth with the bottom of my shirt while I yelled the muffled words, "Hola, necesitas ayuda?" which translates to, "Hello, do you need any help?" in English. She paid me no mind as she continued to make that weird grunting noise, and I was creeped out at this point. So I walked away a couple steps and I turned to get one more look at her. She then decided to stand up. Still, with her back turned to me, she muttered the word, "Muérate," which means die in English. Confused, trying to understand what the strange woman had said to me, she then slowly turned to meet my gaze. And all the blood in my body pulled in my gut when I saw her face. It was extremely long, too long for a normal human body to be supporting it. The head of this thing almost resembled that of a horse or a donkey's head, and the eyes, I'll never forget the eyes, as much as I've tried to. They were gaping pits of blackness, surrounded by a sea of red. A complete silence fell over the area. I was terrified to stone by what I was witnessing. My brain, a scrambling mess, was trying to make sense of the unnatural abomination that was before me. Then this creature let out what I can only describe as a high-pitched scream, like a cross between a pig and a woman. My fight or flight reflex kicked in, and I started sprinting as fast as Usain Bolt. I didn't even bother trying to unlock the gate to my fence. I just jumped over it with ease. My grandmother saw when I came into the house. The words couldn't leave my mouth to tell her what I saw. Fatigue quickly kicked in as the adrenaline wore off, but afterwards I described to her what I saw. She then decided to perform a cleansing ritual that involves rubbing an egg across my body in 3 circular motions while chanting a special prayer. She then cracked an egg into a bowl and the yolk came out with streams of blood. The yolk looked similar to a human iris, which is a very bad omen. After doing this, she laid her hand on my forehead and chanted another prayer for about a minute and threw the yolk out of the house and into the driveway. She didn't bother saying anything to me till the following morning. She said what I saw is called a seguya, an entity that preys specifically on men, kind of like a succubus, and told me that this thing had very dark and malicious intent and I was lucky to have gotten away from it. And to this day, I never set foot again on that stretch of walkway. Thank you guys for watching the video. Please let me know down in the comments what you thought about the story, and like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already.